Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Good day, my name is Bolaji. You are welcome to Fusion Mobile e-learning class. I want to speak on the subject mathematics, and our topic is quadratic equation using a graphical method. Using a graphical method, one of the requirements for this topic is that you have to have your graph sheet with you. You need to hold your white standard graph sheet. White standard graph sheet. We remember earlier on when we were discussing about quadratic equations and the expression of quadratic equation, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. And any formula that satisfies these equations is guided by certain rules, is guided by certain formula. We'll know the formula for finding a quadratic equation: factorization method 1, completing the square method 2, using quadratic formula 3. Now we want to use graphical solution, graphical method to solve a quadratic equation. To solve a quadratic equation. Now, your graph sheet is very important. Your sharp pencil and your ruler is very important. You have to understand how to use scales in graph. I will teach you how to do that in this aspect of topic. Now, remember that if we have y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, which is our graph, which is the equation, is plotted against x. Is plotted against x. That is quadratic equation using a graphical solution. Now we have y equal to ax squared plus bx plus c against x. What do I mean? That is plotting the graph of y against x. Plotting the graph of y against x. Let me show you one thing about our graph. Open to your graph sheet. You discover that we have minus x-axis, we have minus y-axis, here we have plus y-axis, here we have x-axis. And this is our center of origin. Now in the graph, you ensure that one of the requirements for writing a WAEC examination is that your graph must cover 75%, probably 70% of the whole graph, or 75%, so as for you to earn your accurate marks, your full marks. Now, this is our y-axis, this is our x-axis, this is our x-axis. Now, how do I know how to calibrate my graph? How do I take measurement? One thing that is very important, scale is the most important thing in drawing your graph. If your scale is not accurate, you will not get your graph accurately. So in choosing scale, the question might specify the choosing of the scale, and also the equations, our answer to the equations at the long run when we are finding our value of y and x-axis, x coordinate, will determine the kind of scale we are going to use. We determine the kind of scale we are going to use. So we have to be very, very careful and inquisitive about choosing our scale. Now, let me give you an example to show how we can draw this graph using the graphical solution. Using the graphical solution. Example 1. Draw the graph of y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 for value of x from minus 2 to 5. From minus 2 to 5, using a scale of 2 centimeter to 1 unit, 2 centimeter to 1 unit on the x-axis. on the x-axis using a scale of 2 centimeters to the 1 unit on the x-axis and 2 centimeters to represent 5 units on y-axis. On y-axis. Now, the question still proceeds that's the B part of the question. The first part of the question is for us to draw the graph of y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 for the value of x from minus 2 to 5 using a scale of 2 centimeters to 1 unit on the x-axis and 2 centimeters to represent 5 units on the y-axis. Then the B part of the question stated that find x when y is equal to 0. Find x again when y is equal to 5. Then find y when x is equal to 0. So these are the three things that is find x when y equal to 0, find x when y equal to 5, find y when x is equal to 0. How do we go about these questions? Because the equation has been given to be this and the scale has been given. We have to note all these things that is very important for us so that we will not make mistake. We will not make mistake. Now, the solution to this question is what we want to solve now. Solution. The first thing that we need to know is our equations. And secondly, the x coordinate, the value of x. Then, once we know that, we draw our table of value. Our table of value will give us guides. Our table of value will give us guide so as not for us to make mistake. We must not make mistake in finding our table of value. So the table of the value of this function is number 1. Table of value of function y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. Now, we have this column, we have this column, we have this column. Now, the x column, we also have to create the x column. Therefore, our x is this. Then, our column for 2x squared is this. Our column for 5 minus 5x is this. And our column for minus 3 is this. Now, let us draw our x coordinate. Minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, the x value is from minus 2 to plus 5. That was what they gave us as the x coordinate. So we start from minus 2, minus 1 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can put plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 5. That's the x coordinate. Now, how do we find 2x squared? Remember that this is 2x squared. Anywhere you see s, you substitute the value of x into it. So the first one is 2 bracket into minus 2 square. 2 bracket into 4, which will give us 2 times 4, will give us 8. So you come and put your 8 here. That's how to get our 2s squared. Now let us substitute minus 1, 2 bracket to minus 1 square. which is 2 bracket into 1, which will give us what? 2. So this place is 2. How do we get 0 here? 2 bracket into 0 square, which will give us 0. This place is 0. Then 2 bracket into 1 square, which will give us 2. This place is 2. 2 bracket into 2 square, which will give us what? 2 bracket into 4, which will give us 8. This place is 8. Please don't be confused. Watch my steps for you to get your answer. Now 2 bracket into plus 3 square, which is equal to 2 brackets into 9, which will give us what? 18. So this place is 18. Now let us continue because we have not yet concluded our answer. 2 bracket into 4 plus 4 all square, which is 2 bracket into 16, which will give us 32. Now we have 2 bracket into plus 5 all square, which is 2 bracket into 25, which is 2 times 25 will give us 50. So here we have 50 to be 2x squared. Let us proceed because we are not yet through for the value of minus 5x. Now minus 5 bracket into minus 2, which is this. Minus 5 times minus 2 will give us plus 10. This place is 10. Here minus 5 bracket into minus 1, which will give us minus times minus will give us plus. How do we get 10 here? Minus times minus will give us plus. 5 times 2 will give us 10. Minus times minus, which will give us plus. Plus 5. Here is plus 5. You can put 5 or plus 5. It's still the same thing. Let us proceed. Minus 5 bracket into 0, which will give us minus 5 times 0 will give us 0. So this place is 0. We are not yet through. The game is not yet over. Now, minus 5 bracket into 1, which give us minus times plus, because it will give us minus 5 times 1 minus 5. So this place is minus 5. Here is minus 5 bracket into plus 2. Minus times plus will give us minus 10. This place is minus 10. Here is minus 5 bracket into plus 3, which give us minus 15. Here is minus 5 bracket into plus 4, which give us minus 20. And the last one for this minus x is minus 5 bracket into plus 5, which will give us minus 25. So now the value of our minus 5x has been concluded to be minus 25. Now I want us to see this so that we will not be confused about this equation. Minus 3 is the constant value that satisfies the quadratic equation. Remember our quadratic equation to be ax squared plus pa plus bs plus c. Our plus c is the constant term in the quadratic equation, which is always constant. So therefore, what we do is that we just put minus 3, 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 because it's a constant term. Now, how do we find the value of our y? Because y is equal to this. Anywhere we substitute the value, we calculate for our x value here. We calculate for our y. We calculated for our x. This is our x value. We calculate for our y value. We calculate for our y value. In each of the column, we calculate for our y value. Now, look at this place where you have minus 2, minus 2 plus 8 plus 10 minus 3. Minus 2 plus 8 will give us plus 6 plus 10. That's plus 16 minus 3. Which plus 16 minus 3 will give us plus 13. How? Plus 3. This is minus 3. Minus 2. Wait. Minus 2 plus 6 plus 10. That's plus 16 minus 3 will give us minus 2. That's 8. Okay. This x coordinate, we are not going to set out this x coordinate because of the fact that is being substituted. This is what we're going to concentrate on. So we want to find our y. Sorry, our y must be centered on 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. That is, for us to find the value of y in this column, we have to use this. That is 8 plus 10 minus 3. That is 18 minus 3, which will give us 15. Correct. Please, you center on here on these functions. Don't add minus 2 to it. X is only the coordinate. We only substitute the value of x here to get the value of y. Please don't add this column with the questions, because it will convince you about this answer. Now, therefore, let us calculate for the value of y in this column. Look at my hand, everybody. 2 plus 5 minus 3, which is plus 7 minus 3, will give us 4. So this place is 4. This is 0 is 0, is 0 plus 0 minus 3. That is 0 minus 3, which will give us minus 3. This place is minus 3. Here is 2 plus minus 5 minus 3. That's plus times minus 2 minus 5 minus 3, which will give us 2 minus 8, which will give us minus 6. So here is minus 6. Now, let us proceed by looking at this question very well. We now have 8 plus minus 10 plus minus 3. 8 plus minus 10. This will give us 8 minus 10 minus 3, which is 8 minus 13, which will give us minus what? 5. That place is minus 5. Now, the next one is 18. 18 plus minus 15 plus minus 3. That's 18 minus 15 minus 3, which is 18 minus 18, which will give us 0. Now, here we have minus 20, minus 32 minus 20 minus 3. That's 32 minus 23. 32 minus 23, which will give us, here we have 9. Here we have 2. So this place is 9. This place is going to be 9. Here we have 50 minus 25 minus 3. 50 minus 28, which is equal to 22. So this place is equal to 22. Now, therefore, we've gotten our table of value to be this. The next thing we are going to do is that we are going to plot our graph, because the table of the value of the function y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 has been given. The only thing we need to do is for us to substitute our value of x in each of these columns to get the value of y, which is what we have gotten. Now, I want you to take this thing for recognitions, because 1, 15 and 22. 22 is the highest on the y-axis, on the positive y-axis, is the highest number. So in choosing our scale, it's very important for us to know line of the best fit in our graph. Also, in the negative aspect, we have minus 6 here. So when we want to calibrate when we want to draw our graph must be well sighted. Our graph must be well calibrated so as to earn good marks. So our value of y is given to be this: 15, 4, minus 3, minus 6, minus 5, 0, 9, 2. One of the way by which you can get our full marks is that once this our table of value is completed and is accurate, then our graph will be accurate. Table of value is very, very important in drawing the graph of a quadratic equation. Table of value, one of the important things, because one, it will show us the scale, it will show us the number that we're going to work on, that is the highest number for us to choose our scales, which will enable us to have an accurate diagram on the graph. Now, I want us to now draw the graph. I want us to draw the graph. I want you to open to your graph now. I want to draw the graph of the function y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 on your graph. Open to your graph sheets. Open to your graph sheet now. Now, when you open to your graph sheet, use a very sharp pencil. Then look at the y-axis. The y-axis being shown like this. You mark like the way I've marked on your y-axis. Now look at the division of your graph. You discover that we have different columns that is situated. Then choose from the half. Choose from the middle and draw this line that I draw. Then also calculate the rows and choose from the half. Look at what I drew it the same thing. Good. By the time you do that, make sure you put your 0 point here. By the time you put your 0 point here, because we want to choose our scale. Therefore, you measure your y-axis, positive y-axis, negative y-axis, negative x, then positive x, y minus y plus x minus x. Now, remember our table of value which we have drew earlier on. The highest value of our x was minus 1. That is the highest value of our x. So the highest thing we are going to do here is we have minus 2 and minus 1. Remember the scale. On the x-axis, they said 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit. So on your scale, measure with your ruler 2 centimeters. You discover that it represents 1 unit. Use it to represent 1 unit. 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit. 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit. So you measure your ruler, you will see 2 centimeters, you put minus 1 here. Also 2 centimeters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit on the x-axis. Good. Once you have chosen your scale and mapping now, also look at your y-axis. They said how many centimeters on the y-axis? 2 centimeters represents 5 units on the y-axis. So on the y-axis is 2 centimeters to represent 5 units. So each of the 2 centimeters is what? 5 units. Now here is your 5 units. 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. Because 22 is the highest. Remember our table of function, because I remember when we were doing it, I show you the highest number on our y-axis, which is 22. So the highest value here on the y-axis when we choose our scale is 25. Also the same thing that you did, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. Here it is negative because this is a negative value. Now we've chosen our scales, we've chosen everything now. The next thing is for us to plot our graph. I want us to look very well. When x is minus 2, what is our y? When x is minus 2, our y was 15. So you trace with your ruler. I like you to trace with your ruler. When x is minus 2, our y is 15. You trace like this. This is our x. By the time you trace it out, you ensure that it is accurate. Then, when x is minus 1, our y was 4. So, here is 4. Here is 4. And our x is 1. Here is 4. So, you trace it out to get your x. When x is minus 1, what is our y? When x is minus 1, our y was 4. When x is equal to 0, our y was minus 3. So, when it is this, you come down to this place and put your y. That's minus 3. When x is 1, our y was minus 6. This place, come down here. 6 is not far from here. 6 is here. When x is 2, our y was minus 5. So, minus 5 is written there. When x is 3, our y is 0. When x is 3, our y is 0. So, you move on to this x-axis. Remember, don't forget, anytime they say is 0, is on that number. When y is this, when x is 3, when x when x was 1, our y was what? When x was 1, minus 6. When x was 2, our y was minus 5, which is correct. Then when x is 3, our y was 0. So now you are not going to put on that 0 point. It's on the 3. You are going to asterisk. You put asterisk on the 3. Please don't forget. It's very, very important. When x is 4, what is our y? Our y was what? 9. So 9 is here. So trace it with your sharp pencil. Don't make mistake. Then when x is 5, what is our y? Our y was 22. When x is 5, our y was 22. You trace 22 out from here. 22 is not far from here. And our 5 is here. Therefore, you will discover that this is the graph that we obtain. But we have not concluded yet, because we have to join our points so as to have our full mark. Please ensure you use a very sharp pencil. Ensure you use a very sharp pencil. Then you join your x value. Wow. You discover that we have this U-shaped value. Now, a parabola shape has been constructed from this graph. A parabola shape has been constructed from this graph. Now, we've drew our graph perfectly okay. Check your graph. If it looks like this, you are absolutely correct. Now, that is how we can draw our graph. That is how we can draw our graph. I want us to look at this graph. This is a graphical solution. This is a what? A graphical solution. One of the ways by which you can find your answer to the B part is that your graph must be correct. It says find y. Look at the B part of the question now. So as to proceed, find y. Find x when y equal to 0. When y equal to 0, you trace your. So this is the value of x. We have two values of x, which is 3 on my side here, and here, which is minus 0.5 here. So the value of y of x when y is equal to 0 is this. X is equal to minus 0.5 and 3 when y is equal to 0. So when y is equal to 0, our value of x is minus 0.5 and 3. It can be changed from your own graph. It can be changed depending on how your pencil is being sharp. So x is equal to minus 0.5 and 3 when y is equal to 0. Find x when y is 5. Find x when y is 5. So you trace it out also like this. You trace it out also like this. Check your graph. Any value you find here could be minus 1.5. Here, when you trace it out, could be 3.8. So when y is equal to 5, our x is equal to minus 1.5 and 3.8 and 3.8. That is how. Then the last question on the B part, this is the B part of the question, is that find y when x is equal to 0. When x is equal to 0, find y. When you are finding y is this point when x is equal to 0. And when x is equal to 0, our y, when x is equal to 0, our y is equal to this point that we measured that time. Our y is minus When x is equal to 0, our y is minus 3. Because I've explained this and we discovered that the shape of the graph is this. The big part of the question has been explained. When our y is equal to 0, our x is minus 0.5, that will trace it from the graph. Check your graph. You discover that it is absolutely correct and your pencil must be neat. Then when joining the graph, the shape is parabola. The shape is what? Is parabola. Once the shape is not parabola, it's not a quadratic graph. Now, I want to move on by showing you another introduction to what is called line of symmetry. Line of symmetry. Line of symmetry in quadratic functions using graphical method. Line of symmetry. Line of symmetry. Line of symmetry. Line of symmetry explain a graphical solutions, either N-shape or U-shape. Now, I want to show you the meaning of line of symmetry. When your graph is like this, that is the shape of the graph we drew earlier on, our y-axis, x minus y minus x. This is a shape that is showing us that the line of symmetry can be calibrated as this. This is the line of symmetry. This is the line of symmetry. That is, A is greater than a 0. A is greater than 0, we have U-shape. When A is greater than 0, we have U-shape. And this line is called line of symmetry. In line of symmetry, this is called a what? A minimum point. Maybe you have heard about a minimum point in questions that you have seen. A minimum point of when A is greater than 0, our line of symmetry will become a minimum point. So the graphical functions of any graph that have this shape, that have this line of symmetry, you are going to have A is greater than a 0. I'd like you to still see that we can still have another line of symmetry where we have a maximum point or y. The minimum point of y has been shown, while the maximum point of y is what we want to see. Now, when you have a shape in your graph, after which you have drawn your graph, now, if the shape of the graph is like this, N shape, then our x is equal to b over 2a. Our x is equal to b over 2a. Now, our line of symmetry is this, which means this one is showing a maximum point. A maximum point. So this is called line of symmetry. All other questions that they are going to ask you, it will not be beyond the boundary of this line of symmetry. It will not be beyond of this line of symmetry. Maximum point and minimum point is very important when you are using a graphical method. And this thing will help us in the question ahead. I would like you to draw this evaluation, the graph of this evaluation, so as to see the concluding aspect of this topic. When you draw it and it shows a maximum point, you know that A is greater than 0. When it shows a minimum point, you know that A is greater than 0. When you show a maximum point, you know that A is less than 0. In my concluding statement, I would like you to evaluate this so as to know how far we have gone in using a graphical method to explain, to solve a quadratic functions. Thank you.